Friends, oh, I'm super happy to have you for another edition. Oh my gosh, guys, brought to you by Rug Radio Decrypt. I have none other than Star Lord, the CEO of OniForce, and he's beating the hearts for you. Oh my gosh, did you see those hearts coming at you guys? That was skill. That was like magic, dude. It's been so long time coming, brother. I'm so happy to have you on the show, talking about this really monumentous occasion that you have coming up. But I feel like I want to catch everybody up in a sense to where you're at and where you came to be at this precipice. Coming from CEO, once you took the position, you traveled a lot and you met a lot of fans all over the world, heads of other projects. How did that experience shift your vision for OniForce?
Um, that's actually a really good question. It was a pretty profound experience last year, as with the acquisition, staying on as CEO. I think before we were in a bubble, like before the acquisition, it was just us. It was just like the holders, the community, and us and the team. And really, I had no idea what the outside world was like. It was kind of like a movie where I was like growing up in like Mowgli or something, like I'm like in a jungle with like my friends, and then like it's a good time, and then you have to go out into the world, and you're like, whoa, like what is this, And so because it was post acquisition, it was actually a very friendly experience. Everywhere I went, everybody was super supportive. Everybody who knew OniForce was genuinely rooting for us because I think all of Web3 loves a comeback story because I feel like Web3 is made up of people who are like kind of all underdogs in a lot of ways. So I feel like everybody here has a chip on their shoulder or something to prove or a dream or a goal. And like, let's face it, like,
We're all
especially for
damaged. Yeah,
Web3,
we're all freaking
we're
damaged.
all damaged. We're all coming from, we're interesting people though. We all come from these backgrounds. And then also, like, if you think about it, the way the whole rest of the world talks about NFTs, it's like we are the underdogs, you know what I mean? Because they don't want to believe in us. And I think, you know, meeting people all around the world and seeing that passion, like the people who are really here to build and all that stuff, like seeing that commonality where it's like we all appreciate the same things about a good project or about Web3. And so, yeah, it was great to see that. I think the thing I learned is that it is a global community, but we're all like one tribe. And so it made me really feel like a citizen of the world, to be honest.
It's very interesting. It has that sort of changed how OniForce was before coming into that process of seeing the world, and then like how did it inform you and change the vision?
I think it changed in the sense that I realized we have a chance to be a global leader in Web3, that we could actually be one of the top brands that um, is worldwide, a global brand. Because trust me, every country I went to, and I traveled for like 10 months straight all over the world, they all respected the brand of OniForce. I think that they all acknowledge that the art is great. Like, we have a lot of respect, actually, especially with the new ownership group. So it really made my vision even bigger, where I'm like, we could actually build a global network and be one of the top three projects in the entire space, not just in the category of like anime or something like that. We can transcend,
100%. I had a chance to meet Wei, advisor to the new owner's old fashioned research at Comic Con, and I was really impressed by not just his astuteness and his drive, but his zeal for the fun aspects of things. Like he was so like into like the entertainment, like AR and all that sort of stuff. It seemed that you guys had a really good relationship. And how has Wei guided you in the project?
It's funny you caught that. I mean, the reason why I stayed actually is because of him. Because to be honest, you know, when we were going through the acquisition, I was fully planning on just, you know, doing my own thing afterwards because I kind of came in like like the sheriff coming into town, and then I'm just like blowing by, and I'm on to the next town kind of thing, and that's what was the plan from the beginning. I remember when I first came to OniForce, in my first town hall, I said, I'll probably just be here like 6 months, maybe 12 months max. But when I met Wei, it was pretty obvious. I mean, number one, his resume is deep. He's very smart. Um, he's very successful, uh, but I very quickly realized like I felt like we had a lot of similar values, and I think like I realized I could learn something from him. And honestly, what I really told myself was like, it would be stupid if I left right now because number
Mhm.
one, I have this amazing opportunity with this brand, this community that I love, like with all my heart, and I get to do like exactly what I love for a job, which is very difficult to find. It's already my passion, and then like I said, like he's really smart, and so and then I think he's also like you said, like I noticed he's very joyful. Like he when he gets excited, he's genuinely excited. He's like a little boy, you know, which is how I identify with that. You know, it's like I feel like when you're excited, you should have, and to me, that's a sign of his freedom and his confidence. You know what I mean? That he can
Mhm.
actually fully be who he is without any concept of like a self awareness that you know like that I think people get self consciousness, and so yeah, no, it's been great. He's been a great mentor, and he's really smart. So he tends to point out things that are have helped me make sure that we are always going in the right direction. We're optimized and all that stuff. So yeah, he's great. He's fun. I don't like working for people in general. That's why I've always worked for myself.
Yeah,
But he's
really.
like probably the one exception so far that in my life that I feel like it's totally worth it. You know.
Being that
And he did not
he's an
pay me to
advisor.
say any of this stuff, but I will take some royalties for it if that helps. No, I'm kidding.
But this is the vibe that I get from you two guys. You know, this genuine camaraderie, and there's a connection there. But then again, you know, you're also in a sense, as you said, working for somebody and working for a group. What are some of the expectations of the new owners? Old fashioned research.
The first expectation is just to be what we are meant to be, which is a really badass, you know, NFT art, IP, storytelling community project. Like that's literally from the beginning what has been the goal. That's what they acquired us for. That's the mission that we've been set forth on. Um, and so I feel like it's almost like we had this destiny that was foretold when we minted and when the community came together. And now it's like we finally have the means to achieve it. So nothing's really changed actually. It's just more bigger. It's more um ambitious, you know. It's like I feel like
Mm.
before when I was running the project, it was more like let's be the best, you know, anime project we could be or something like that. But now it's like let's just be one of the best projects. You know, like let's be a top 3 project and let's take over, you know, and I think that's what we're gonna do.
It seems like, you know, as you said, not much has changed because it seems like you're also having the tough job where you're stuck between two groups that you service. You know, the owners as well as the community. What is the most valuable thing that the core project can do to deliver for its holders in your mind?
Well, one thing I would say is actually I wouldn't put it that way. I think actually myself and the ownership group is in service of the community
Hmm.
because actually, uh, even like for instance, Ling, who's another partner at OFR, when I was getting to know her, and one of the first questions I asked her, I said, "What do you think is the most important thing that I should focus on?" And she's like, "You already know that. It's building your community, focusing on community, you know." So I think what makes them special is that they actually understand that the intangible value of that word community actually leads to real value. You know what I mean? So it's like you're not really shortcutting stuff. I think a lot of people who are more like let's say profit oriented, they think they put profit first in their equation and then they go back in reverse to think, well, how do I develop the community to get this
Profit.
result, right? You know what I mean? And so I think they have it the right way. um so yeah,
Well,
I think that's why like we get to just do what we do.
well, ordinals is half the reason why people are tuning in. So let's be honest.
Yeah,
And
let's go to the good stuff now. All the
it,
touchy feely stuff is recorded forever,
it's
but
recorded
let's get to a
forever,
little bit.
and you know we all know that you have this warm, gentle soul.
You're so funny, bro.
If you don't, jump into the Discord and follow Star Lordy on Twitter as well as Any Force. But Ordinals are half of why people are here, and I having a very small part in the birth of the Fallen. This has been very exciting for me personally, and with everybody else learning about the mints back in early 2023 with these 7 characters. Walk me through this process of releasing this group of 7, and then getting to the Fallen on Ordinals.
Okay, but before I do that, I do think it's long overdue for us to take this moment to give you your credit for your
No, stop.
participation. No, really, like this is something we've been meant to do for a long time. So now let's. I just want to make it very clear for all the listeners that Minty has always been a very giving person, a very like generous member of the community. When we were still nothing, when we still had the old ownership group and everybody hated us, he was still there, and we wanted to do an activation and NFT NYC, and he actually produced the entire activation, which was an awesome like IRL online Discord like zombie storytelling, like the zombie invasion. That's when we actually introduced the zombies into the lore, right? So Minty actually was literally the first storyteller to do that, and it was like still one of our best moments. Like people, it was like for a brief moment, it was like the old days in Discord again. When people were coming in and they're engaging, and so I just have to give you your flowers and hats off to you for your part of that. I really appreciate that. Like
Thank you.
it's
Very, very humble. Very, very
and
humble.
even with the ordinal launch, when we announced the 7 inscriptions that we made, Minty was literally there helping to run that event. So I mean, like it's funny how community, like people who are proactive, can have a real hand in the history of not just the history, but the development of this brand and this company.
And I definitely want to
So
touch on that because I think that that's something that you speak a lot about, and I see sort of the parallels that you're creating here with the Ordinals collection, it having similar IP licensing rights, etc. But how did we get here first in terms of the story?
Mhm. So, in terms of the lore, or in terms of the what the ordinal story?
I feel like it's kind of together, right? It's just like that.
All
It's
right, together.
right.
So I think where it is that it started off with me discovering that ordinals exist, and this was pretty early. I think we were still at uh, just a little over 10,000 inscriptions or something like that. It wasn't very many. Right away, I saw that there was a lot of value for in the future for being part of this ecosystem, even though it didn't exist really much yet. But I just believe in Bitcoin. I believe in what even the concept of inscribing was just so much better. So first, it was like, okay, there's something here that's valuable. Then the next question is always like, okay, but why do it, right? Like why? How's that going to help us and our community and the experience we're giving them? And I realized like we're really an art-based project, so to me, it's like the best way to preserve your art, to do it as an inscription. And so that was kind of the initial thesis. But then obviously we are an IP and everything is always story based. So I had to think like, okay, how does this actually make sense? Is this going to help us tell our story better? So I think the very simple thesis in the beginning is that we're basically establishing our IP, our universe on chain. When you buy this NFT, you have the opportunity to own a character that's going to be developed for future distribution, mass distribution, from comic books to webtoons to gaming. Um, it's like if we're launching a Star Wars universe, you could own the very first drawing of Luke Skywalker or Han Solo or the Millennium Falcon or whatever it is. It's like you own these pieces of the IP that are going to come together and tell a story. And the beauty is that now creates an opportunity for holders to not only determine the story, but to also get rewarded for participating in that process, aside from the fact that they have a collectible art item, which was the initial thesis.
I feel like we're
So that's
minting
kind
the
of how
dark side right now. We're minting the dark side,
that's
right?
so
It's
that's
just
what I was
like we
going to
have
say.
this whole.
That's the beauty is we basically have a whole lore and a whole universe and a history set up. And so with the original ETH collection, we've already established the heroes, which are the 7,777 warriors of the Enclave, and they have to fight somebody. So I think that the Fallen represent the antithesis to the key values of what Oni Force is. They are the dark side. They represent the Oni that fell to the dark side. That's why they're called the Fallen, because they're not actually zombies. Like, we're referring them to them as zombies because it's easy to understand that. But actually, our terminology for the mass is called the corrupted, right? And so the idea is that you know, the funny part, I'm going to give you guys an Easter egg here. The real inspiration behind the zombies when we first created them in 2022 is to represent FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt,
Yeah.
and how that creates toxicity, how that creates anger, how that could lead people to the dark side, how when many people participate in it, it turns into like a monster, you know what I mean? Like a horde, you know? And so especially during that time, Oni Force was always under attack. We'd always be the butt of jokes. If somebody mentioned Oni Force on Twitter, there'd just be memes about us and all that stuff. And, you know, actual hate going to the original founders, which I think was a little over the top. And to me, it's like we've always been very meta in our storytelling, and so I think that the zombies, the fallen, were a natural like evolution of that storytelling, of that experience. You know.
It's an expression. It's this beautiful expression of what we were all going through in the project. Like we were all being subjected to all this FUD, and maybe some of us were turning more than others.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Some people would turn. That's exactly what happened. Is they're fallen because it's like they started off as Oni and pure, and it's not their fault, by the way. I mean, I think this is a natural byproduct of mismanagement. But yeah, people. I saw people in the Discord where it's like, you know, because I'm coming in kind of fresh, right? I wasn't there for the fall of the Enclave. I came in the aftermath, so I'm observing it more from a third person. I'm like, wow, like there would be people who are in the Discord every day just being hateful and angry, and I'm like, why are you even here? Like
let me
that's
FUD my bags
insane.
more here.
Yeah, but then I realized they have a right to be, and also I can understand if you spend thousands of dollars and you put your hopes and dreams on these people who disappoint you, you might want to take it out on them a little bit. But I still think it's toxic, and so I kind of created these characters, the villains, um, based on what's inside of us that we want to avoid. You know.
And so the idea of this group of seven, I mean, can you talk about sort of how that
Mhm.
connects to the wider collection going into the Ordinals Mint?
Yes. So the original 7 ordinals that we inscribed are called the Nameless. They represent the remaining heroes from the original army of 7,777. So in the lore, before the Enclave was created, there was the Emperor, and he had his army, and he went to war against evil, which were the corrupted. And out of those 7,777, only 7 survived. They went into stasis, and they were basically saved as a backup plan for if the Fallen ever returned. Now that they've returned, which started leaking from all the way from your activation at NFT NYC, now they're finally here because they're ready. They've been waiting. It's up to the 7 nameless to help lead the Enclave, to help them become heroes and step into their destiny, and that's the role that these characters play in the lore, actually. And it's all
And
canon now. We're establishing canon, you know.
how has that been, that process of just going back and having the conversations with Brian and maybe some of the old founders and really getting your head around that plus the community vision and creating your own vision for this?
That's been a joy, to be honest. I think when I first came on as project manager, I spent the first 3-4 months like really getting to know the lore that the based on the founders' ideas. Then I learned a lot from the community, what the ideas that they had, um, and that kind of created like a full picture of what happened in the past, essentially. And then with Paul Jenkins and I'm Complex and some of the team members, we went through all of it and basically decided what to keep and what to let go, and then how we're going to move forward. And actually, we kept the vast majority of the lore that the community created. I don't think we actually even really threw anything out, to be honest. And so the process has been a joy because you talk with I'm Complex, you talk with Paul Jenkins, who are masters at what they do. You know, team members who are super passionate about anime and storytelling and stuff. It's like that's to me the best part of the job. You just get to be creative and build a world. And so me adding my own vision and input is it's really nice. I mean, it's rewarding because as you see the IP grow and you see people respond to it, even to be honest, like the process of getting to this collection where it is, it's like, I spent 6 months and 5 different artists that I auditioned, that I was working with, that I was giving them notes, that I was trying to figure out if they would work out until we settled. And I just knew in my gut when I saw concepts of this art from Alex Lynn, I knew, I was like, this guy is the one. He's the next. He's the successor to IMCMPLX for our company.
It's stunning work. Like the more that I see, the more I'm like enthralled by the work that's being done on this collection. Really, truly. There's one that I was sent. I don't know if I'm allowed to show it, but
Depends
it
on who
has
sent it to you.
well, exactly. It has an element that I didn't know was in there, so maybe I'll just skip past that. But more importantly, I'll ask at the end maybe. But
Is it a mask element
I will
or a
say
body
it's
type
something.
element?
It's in the traits
I'm
you would
trying to
call
figure
it
out how much we could leak.
extra. Yeah, you would call it extra in the
Oh no,
traits.
yeah, we can't share that yet. We can't. We're gonna roll
Okay,
that
okay,
out.
okay, 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 okay. But I got it. I'm just like, oh my god, I can't show this, can I?
Right?
But it's gonna be fantastic, guys. Let me tell you. It
Actually, you know
seems that.
what? If you want to show it, we could make that a special leak for this
Thank you,
podcast.
thank you.
Or
We'll put
this
that at the very end for people who stick around for the
Okay,
whole story here.
that's a good one. Stay to the end, and we're gonna give you a sneak peek of a brand new trait.
Brand new trait, and it's a hot one. I was super excited when I
It's
saw
a
it.
hot one.
But it's
When I
like,
saw it, I was
again, like
definitely
you're
sorry,
like,
go ahead.
yes. When you see it, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
It's like seeing a Yoda pull out his lightsaber in the movie. You're like, yes, it's
Oh
going
yeah,
down.
it's like deep in the gut.
But in the Ordinals collection, the IP license seems to be similar to the ETH collection, and thusly you're inviting the community to build with you. In your mind, or examples you've seen in this space, what are some of the most valuable things that holders can be doing to benefit the community?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the first thing is existing holders, core holders that really know OniForce and love OniForce need to be the welcoming party for all the people who are checking us out and also like considering joining, and especially the new holders that we bring on, because as we bring on a new influx of holders, we have to show them by example how we treat them and what we are passionate about, like what our values as a community. And I think at the end of the day, our community is about the art. It is about the storytelling. It is about celebrating our passions, especially in creativity and things like that, and technology. And I feel like that's what sets us apart from a lot of other projects. It's truly is our core. And I think we want to foster that in other people too. So, I mean, there's a lot of people in the community who would constantly say like, oh, I don't know what value I could add because I'm not an artist, or I don't develop or whatever. And then they end up becoming like huge contributors to the actual development of the company. So I think I think OniForce needs to be a home where we can unlock our best selves, our best versions of ourselves. So the community, I think, to be honest, should be the best versions of themselves and help lead by example, and really be that welcoming kind of family for all these new people that are checking us out.
It's a great point, and I think that I think a lot of holders are always struggling, like how they can contribute, as you said, like, oh, maybe I'm not an artist, etc. But you see it in a lot of other projects, especially with the Bored Apes having a bodega where they're housing all the different businesses that are leveraging the IP.
Yep.
Is there an example, or is there something in terms of IP uses that you were like, gosh, Oni could really use that, or we could I'd love to see more of that with Onis?
I do think we should be doing way more art and physical items and merchandise and stuff like that. I think our community has been asking for, I mean, just dying for like toys, statues, like high quality figurines, even plushies. I mean, people, they want it all. And, and I think as a startup, we have still have limited resources that we have to um, always maximize what we have, and so I think there are community members who could um, just step up and take it upon themselves. When I look at Bored Apes or Azuki or um, even like D-Gods or something, I could see there's contingents of community members who are very proactive that they're like, you can't stop them. You don't have to ask them. Like, you can't stop them. They're just going to develop stuff and use their resources um, to make things real. So I would like to see more of that. But I do understand that it's also a kind of a symbiotic process too. It's like the more as we get better at sharing information and providing resources for people, it can help them also step up more and be more successful. Oh, that's a nice PFP that you have up there.
It's
That
one of
guy's
my
really
favorite. The
yeah, me
Kabuki
too,
is just this rendition of it is really 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 sick, and it really excites me to see
yeah.
more of this collection and to dig into more. You mentioned projects. What are three PFP projects that you kind of keep an eye on, and why?
Mm, that's an interesting question. Um, I mean, I'm always watching what Yuga does. I think they're the monolith still. Pudgy as well. Pudgy, I've been watching for a while. They Luca's great. I mean, he's always been really, really responsive to me and kind and I think what I admire about Pudgy is that they had a very clear vision, a very like straightforward, simple vision that was easy to understand, even if you didn't like even if that wasn't your bag, but you could still understand. And then they just executed step by step. They were very relentless. So I definitely watch what they do. I would say the third one, I was watching D Gods a lot because I felt like they they fascinated me with the community that they made. Like it was really really interesting. Um, but to be honest, I love watching the little projects. Like I've been checking out uh, Matt's project. What is it, Shinsei or something like that? The Solana project. I've been checking out, obviously the different ordinal projects, and yeah, I like to just see anything that comes across my
A
desk.
lot more Ordle projects these days.
Uh,
How has that
yeah.
community been in terms of testing the waters with this IP? It seems like from my end they're super super excited. But what is your take on sort of the Ordinals community?
They've been nothing but a joy from the beginning. To be honest, the thing is, the ordinals community, it's very very new. Like I mean, think about it. Like a year ago around this time, there was almost
It was
like
just
I mean
invented.
less than a
Yeah.
hundred. Yeah, it was just invented. So it was like it's a baby. And so like just like with Ethereum when it was like early 2021 or something, it's like late 2020. It's like everybody there that was they were kind of pure because they were there because they believed in it. You know what I'm saying? And there was kind of a lot of idealistic like developers and builders, and I think we see that with the ordinal space right now. And I love that. To me, that's intoxicating. I think the reason why I love them is that first of all, they're genuinely nice, which is very interesting. They're very kind people, and so far, from what I experienced, and then they're just in generally kind of happy and they're pretty fun um, and they're very supportive. Like they're happy to help at any time, and so those are all the elements that and then there's so many smart people too and great artists. So you kind of when you get all those factors mixed in, it's dope. I mean, I can't say enough good things about them. So like they've been very supportive. They've literally from the beginning they um, helped onboard me and they really like they believe like in Oniforce. I
They're
think that's
looking
a
at the art and they're
great
like,
thing.
yes, please.
It's hard, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like so. And it's funny that you mention that. I think it works to our advantage because right ordinals like utility is just starting to be a word by the way in ordinals, and it's like it was about the art or technology or art and technology. Literally, that was all it was about. And so our art speaks for itself. Like when you look at it, it's like if you like good art, like it's pretty hard to deny that this is quality. So I think that's the first thing they see, and then on top of that, they haven't had a like a blue chip Ethereum project like really come in and like really build it up. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think they love um, the fact that this is kind of our stated intention. And I think the more that we prove that, then I think that'll keep the vibes going. You know.
Okay, last question before we show the final reveal, if you will, the final reveal preview. Thank you for allowing this. Um, I know you have such great vision, and I want to just give people just a piece of when I have a personal conversation with you. I'm always blown away by the absolute spot on, brilliant precision that you have with your visions and your ability to execute them. So I just want to give people just a sense of that. What does the most valuable storytelling PFP in the space look like in 5 years?
Ooh, I like that question. Um, okay, unbridled, fully ambitious answer. It's basically would be like it would be the technology stack and infrastructure and launchpad, like launch and even marketplace for storytelling for the biggest brands and IPs in the world and community members alike. So I think that at a time like we will have fully um, integrated into Web 2. And I think that what we're doing is we're using OniForce as the test IP to create a essentially a SaaS product that a Disney, that a Sony, that anybody could use to supercharge their storytelling and community, because we all know that the future is community. And these companies are going to need to learn how to actually integrate community into it. And we're doing the craziest experiment anybody's ever seen. Like the idea of like creating a franchise model for community members who, you spend $1,000 or a couple $1,000s to get in, and now you're a franchise owner and you're getting all this support and this opportunity to then get reward back. And just for the casual fan, it's like, I love watching Naruto, but they don't pay me every time I watch it. They probably should. So I think
For
like
as
it's
much as
gonna
you
be,
watch.
yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be an ecosystem in which we test out a kind of like a layer two society where we take the idea of community to the next level. I actually think that we should have a system where it's like for artists and creators and people, like we're literally providing even like healthcare and UBI and like going like all out in terms of the resources we provide. Because to be honest, Disney and all these companies, they make so much money. They could do that for their people if they wanted to. They could probably do some stimmy packs, and I
Airdrops.
think, yeah, exactly. And so I think that's the big vision is we want to be like not just the top IP. I think a lot of projects are just focused on trying to make themselves like this um, notable brand in Web 2. I think that we could transform Web 2 and basically get rid of it and onboard the world into Web 3. And I think that's the goal.
Amazing. Look forward to speaking with you again and catching up with you as you progress towards this goal. It's been a joy to be a holder
You're a
and
part of
a
it.
minor
You're a
contributor,
big
a
part
minor
of
contributor from time to time when I can, and I'm super excited to be allowed to show off this new tray. I haven't seen this before. I don't know if somebody else leaked this, but here it is
We'll
because it's
see.
the first time I've seen it.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
It's
Woo, boy.
it's a roadie. There's a
So if
roadie on her
anybody
shoulder.
doesn't realize what they're looking at, that is a zombie Roni. That is
That's a
the zombie.
zombie Roni.
It's actually called a phony because it's the fallen Roni. It's the fallen version of the Roni. So it's the
Oh,
phony,
that's
but
brilliant.
yeah, it's super cool. I mean, anybody that knows Oniforce and the Ronis and stuff, they're gonna
Oop. Bring it back.
have
Bring it
like
back.
a really cool new trait that you could potentially have, and I love it. When I saw it, I was just giggling. That was awesome.
So fun, so amazing, and thank you again for sharing your time and a peek at your vision as you guys attempt this new expansion into the ordinal space, and I think it's going to be a really successful one. There's a lot of people who are looking at this as you said of bringing a high quality, high caliber project art wise as well as utility wise into the space and combining, really strengthening an overall IP
Mhm.
by going cross chain. So I think this is
Absolutely.
going to be an example. Everyone is watching. No pressure. We're all behind you.
I love you. I mean, I will say that as we want to be the first cross-chain storytelling experience in Web3, where it's truly cross-chain, where we're not just sending a collection to a chain or another one. It's like we're actually expanding in multiple directions. So stay tuned because you'll definitely find out why there's value to having the Oni, original Oni and the ordinal Oni, the fallen.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
with that, I have to stop because I'm famous for leaking.
I'm contractually obligated to stop the stream now because he has
Yeah.
definitely gone overboard at this point. He's already
Yes.
shared this beautiful alpha with us of the phony.
Minty
So
X
brilliant.
Rug Radio got the scoop on the phony, on the zombie Roni, and I appreciate you. Thank you for having
Thank you, Star Lordy. Talk soon.
me.